Hello and welcome back to the Avrum Rosensweig Show. My name is Avrum Rosensweig, and I thank you very much for coming to the show and watching it and listening to it. We have a very special show today with sort of a last-minute piece. I was contacted by a friend of mine, Jeff Budd in Kitchener, who said that we might just be able to do a podcast today with a fellow by the name of Levav Weinberg, who is my guest today. And Levav is a fascinating guy who was a former president of the Israel Hockey Federation. He's an apple orchard farmer in northern Israel, and he's an Army reservist. So why is this so pertinent? Why was I so excited about it? I was, and I am, because there was a recent ban on the Israeli hockey team to go play IIHF hockey in Bulgaria. That was lifted, and then Israel won the tournament at their level. So this is a big thing. This is an Am Yisrael Chai moment. And I want to just jump right to the chase and bring in Levav Weinberg. How are you?
Thank you very much. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How are you doing?
Not the most perfect time of the life right now, but we handle that.
Let's talk a little bit about that. You are in the reserves, right?
Yes.
And what's fascinating is you were born and you live in Metulla. And when we talked before the interview, you said, Ken, ani b'tzava, I'm in the reserves and I'm watching over my house. What did you mean by that?
My unit is working very close to Metulla on the mountains, and every time that rockets shoot on Metulla, and it's happened unfortunately too often, so I have looked in the camera of the army to see if I have any damage in my house or it's in my neighbor house today. And to be in the army, and I think to be in the army, it's a big thing, and for me it's very important to give to my country and to the place where I was born and raised, and it's get much more impact, and it's become to be much more strong when it's a place when you was born and live, and you really feel that it's not just you watching Israel and you house your area, your region, your area, and your house and your neighbor. And I think it's a big benefit, and it's give you more experience and more power to do what you need to do more and more.
What I find fascinating about your life in Metulla, and we'll get to the hockey part of it later in the interview, is that you are an apple farmer, right?
Yes, we have a large farm of apples, nectarine, and plums, and this is what I do since I remember myself. And I learned that from my dad, that he was a farmer, and he, put me into the business straight after I learned how to walk. After that, I learned how to drive my tractor. And after that, you learn how to drive, and then you go to the army. This is more or less how it's work in Israel. And this is what I do since I remember myself, walking in the field, picking apples, driving my tractors, and most of my orchards is just around Metulla on the border with Lebanon. So it's for my orchards to the border, it sometimes could be 2 or 3 meters away, or a bit farther than that, but it's very close. You drive and you walk over there, you feel very comfortable and very safe. And this is not the situation right now, and I really hope it will change soon.
I mean, what's phenomenal, Levav, is that there have been times where you have had to unearth, where you've had to dig up your apple trees in order for the army to counter tunnels that were being built from Lebanon. So your commitment to Israel is yourself, it's your family, it's your livelihood, it's your career.
Yes, this is how life goes to me. It's not that I came in age of 18 or 21 and say, okay, what I want to do is my life. I kind of was born and raised for that. And for me, the land of Metulla, it's part of my culture and my religion. And to be able to walk in the field on the border is part of the way I was born and learned, and part of my way. And I think that this is something that I would be happy if it will go on to my children, to the next generation. In this is in one way, but in the other way, with all what happening now, I'm not so sure about it in 100% like I was sure about that before. Agriculture, it's not an easy work, especially not in Israel, and more special when it's just on the border. But and try to look at the positive way, and to be believe that everything will be okay in the future, and we will go back to Metulla. I wasn't see some of my orchards more than 4 months, and I have pink lady apples that I was supposed to pick 3 months ago, and everything is underground. I have some kiwi fruit I was need to pick, and everything is underground. And I'm not mad. I'm not about the government. I'm not mad about the situation, because I think this is the right thing to Israel to do today. And I really hope that the government and all the people that involved will take that to the next step. And by the end of the process, we will have back peace and quiet in the north border of Israel, and we'll be able to come back home safe.
You have 3 children.
Correct.
Two girls and a boy, 4, 6, and 9 years old.
To play hockey.
Who also play hockey, and I promise you that'll be a major part of this interview. When October 7th happened, when Katyushas or rockets are flying in from Lebanon, and you're right on the border with Lebanon, what do you tell your little ones?
I think in the 7th of October, I know I saw what happened in the south. We have a very good friends over there. We have a very good friend of the family that was kidnapped and murdered in Gaza, and we just been in his funeral a month later. And the first thing that came up to my mind, that the same thing that happened in Gaza Street will start soon in the north. And in the first couple of hours, I just talked to my wife and asked from her to go into the car with the kids, with the family. We just come back from a family holiday just on Friday night. And Saturday morning, we already packing again. And my wife leaves with 2 suitcases to her parents in Haifa. And since that moment, basically, you see, you understand, and you learn everything that happened in Gaza. And it was things that even for me was very hard to believe, to see, to hear all the stories. I went over there. I went to see what happened. I make tours to soldiers to go to the south around Gaza to see all what happened in the towns and the kibbutz over there, and to see that in your eyes and to understand exactly what happened. This is something that you cannot forget, and this is something that go with you to the rest of your life. And I say that in one hand, and in the second hand, as much it's hard to say that you still believe and you still wish that in one day, and it's probably not going to be tomorrow morning, but in one day we will be able to sit together and in Metulla and to live a peaceful life and to still believe in the peace. The only thing that you understand is the people in Gaza, the people that you have right now in Gaza, they are not going to be your partner for peace. But it's not mean that you don't need to look to the right people. And to take your family out of the house in a decision that made in 2 hours, it's not an easy thing. It's not easy to make this kind of decision. I definitely think it was a right decision, but it's not an easy way. You need to ask yourself not just why it's happened. You need to ask yourself what I can do better to make sure that this kind of thing will not happen again. And
Levav,
yeah.
when your wife and children went to Haifa, how did you feel with them not being there?
In stress, you don't know how things will go. You're ready to, you're ready to the worst that can be happen. We saw all the pictures from the south. We saw what happened when 1,000 Hamas people cross the border to Israel and just go and shoot from one house to the other. And my house is 170 meters from the border with Lebanon. It's not 1 kilometer, it's not 5 kilometers, it's 170 meters. Very, very close. From my window in the bedroom, you can see Hezbollah checkpoint, you can see Hezbollah flags, and I understand in that moment that we are the next. It's going to come to us, and I take all my army gear, make sure everything is okay, everything is ready, talk with my unit, my friends from my army unit, and we will make sure that we're all ready to go. And when I say ready to go, it's not just where to go, it's how to defend our town. And we will go over again the programs that we have, that we was training on. And from that moment, you are 100% soldier. And you're not a civilians anymore. You go to a soldier mood, you get your gear, you get your gun, you make sure everything is ready to go, and you're ready, and you just wish for the best.
Does your character change? Does it go to another place?
Yes, definitely. Yes.
Where does it go?
I think you're more focused about your next step, your next 3 steps, and you're more focused about your mission, and you need to be prepared for that. And I think this is your main focus in that moment.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm fascinated by the sensitivity that you must have as a farmer, as a father of 3, as a husband, and then standing up as a brave warrior, as a champion of the Jewish people and Eretz Yisrael and Israel. The two, I can see, don't necessarily wouldn't come together.
Yes, but this is type of things that you don't, in that kind of moment, on 7th of October, and the 8th, and the 9th, we were so much focused about be ready and be strong and to prepare ourselves, because we have some things that we need to prepare, and we know that. And you don't think about the rest. right in that moment, I think the first 2-3 days, I didn't talk with my family at all. I didn't talk with my wife, no kids. You just focus on your main goal, and right now it's to defense and make sure that you're ready to the worst. And we saw in the south, we saw the worst. We saw things that we didn't believe and we didn't was expect in numbers that we didn't believe. And I think everyone understands that. It was a big surprise for us. And right now we need to turn the situation to the other side from it's like in hockey. If the next team that you play against score a goal or even 2 goals, it's not means that you lose a game.
Mm-hmm.
It just means that you need to be more focused and more ready and to play hard and better, and then you can win. And I think that in the south, it looks like we're on the right way. We're on the right way, and today we lead the game. But in the north, we still didn't win the game over there. And I really hope that we will win the game soon. Right now, I believe that we kind of equal. And if I want to bring back my family over there and my community back over there, we need to win the next game in the north. And this is what I'm expecting.
Levav, I know that your mind, your hands, your body, your whole life is really composed of making sure that you're focused on the task at hand, as you said. But I want to ask you a question, which I think a lot of people in the diaspora, in the Tfutza, are curious about. You are in the north. You're meters away from Lebanon. You're a chayal. You're a soldier. You're a Jewish soldier, an Israeli soldier. Does diaspora Jewry, the Jews from outside of Israel, come into play at all with your thinking in terms of the defending Israel? Or is that just a thought for another time, for hockey, let's say?
No. I can tell you that I have a lot of relative friends that I knew through hockey, and I knew them and I connect them, and we do great things together because of hockey. That in that times give me a call and ask for help. They say that they want to help, they want to be involved, they just need me to give them the way and to tell them what kind of help we can get and how we can get that and how they can help. And I have a lot of connection that I met through the hockey, helped me and my unit to be more succeed and be more ready in the first couple of weeks of the war.
So when you think about defending Israel, does that extend to defending Jewish people everywhere? Because here in the diaspora, we are relying on you, and we're very indebted to you because at 18 years old, we send our children to university. You send your children to the army. So is it a defense of the Jewish people, or is in your mind right now it's a defense of Israel?
I think it's not really matter where you are in the world, and it's not really matter where you are in Israel. Not all the people in Israel, when they have kids, came to 18, send the kids to the army.
Yes.
Not all of them. And I think that support Israel and help Israel. And I know that the help that Israel got from the Jewish communities in Canada and US in October, November was the biggest help and the biggest support that we ever get. I don't know. I think from the moment Israel was exist. And to hear President Biden talk about Israel after 2 weeks, and it was a very famous speech that he gave. And it's not just because he wake up in the morning and say, "Oh, Israel, it's a nice place to live." I think it's that speech came because all our friends, brothers in Canada and US, in North America that support Israel. And support Israel, it's not just to send your kids to the army. Support your Israel is to vote for Israel, is to push for Israel, and to tell about Israel, and to tell all the people that sometimes confused and sometimes don't understand in the world. And this is the media. It's another war. It's another war that sometimes people forget that she's exist, but sometimes to be able to write on the computer the right way, the right words, and to explain the situation is even more important than shooting with your gun. And this is something I believe, and we definitely saw the big support from North America, especially the Jewish people, but also a lot of non-Jewish people that will support Israel. And Israel was really need that support, especially in those days. And I'm also believe that even today, the support that we have from the community in North America is one of the biggest and most important things that Israel right now needed to continue to do the job that she started. And the fact that we still didn't done the work that we need to done in Gaza, and the world give us the time that we need to finish to clean all the bad people over there, and to make sure that Gaza will be a safer place and a better place. I think this is definitely one of the biggest success of the communities in the North America.
Levav, Wayne Gretzky, whom you know, and it's beautiful that an Israeli of the North is familiar with his name, and Darryl Sittler and other hockey players. He was quoted as saying when he left the NHL as a player that the thing that was most difficult for him was the camaraderie in the dressing room. Do you know what I mean by camaraderie?
I'm not sure.
It's the interaction that he had. You know, the relationship that he had with his fellow players. You know that because you're a hockey player, you're a hockey manager. What is, that being said, what is your relationship with other Jews or Arabs, Bedouins who are in your group in the army? You have family, you have friends. What's your relationship with them?
Very good. I think I have a lot of friends. I have some Arab people that play with me on the same team. Our goalie, she's an Arab. And I have a lot of Arab friends that never been in the army and cannot be in the army from different reasons. And to get phone calls from them and to hear their support and to see the support, and sometimes even not to see the mass or not to see crowds. And don't forget that since 7th of October until today, we didn't see any group of people that come and say inside Israel, that come and say, stop what you're doing. And I think this is something that give you a lot of strength, because you understand you do the right thing, and it's not just for you. I think, and you can see that in the South, Hamas was hurt our people as well. Bedouin, Muslims, they didn't care. If you're inside of Israel, and for them, they don't care if you're Muslim or you're Jewish and you're Bedouin or whatever, they came and they killed everyone. So you understand that the people from Gaza, the people from like Hezbollah and this kind of group of militias groups are don't have sense. They don't thinking like you. They don't believe like you, and they don't think that the way of you think is the right way. But to do the right thing, when you do the right thing, you see result and you see good results. And we have a very good connection. Our school, hockey school in Metulla, is a mixed school. We have a lot of people from Rajar, from the village Rajar, are Muslims. We have Christian from Nazareth. We have Bedouin. We have basically everything, kibbutz, towns, and everything play together, and everyone will support each other during the war. And to see some of our players taking picture in Gaza, and all the team are cheer for them and pray for them. And they say all the team, it includes the Arab kids that play with us and the Jewish one, of course. You understand how much it's strong. The connections that you build and the relationships that you build from a small age. And it's all about education in the end. If you teach your teammate and your friends that peace is the right way, and peace, this is the right education, and this is what you teach them. In the end, if the bottom line, it's come to reality. And
let me break in for 1 second here, because I want to give our viewers and our listeners a context of hockey in Israel. Way back in the 80s, there was this move, and a lot of it was really encouraged by Canadians who had moved to Israel, to launch a brand new sport in Israel, in the Middle East, a Mediterranean country. A bizarre idea, but if you know anything about Israel, you know what? It wasn't that strange. Like, we looked at the desert, right, Levav, and we looked at the desert, we go, oh, that's a good place to grow stuff. Right. So come along these Jews, Israeli Jews, Canadian Jews, and they go, we're going to start hockey in Israel. And people thought, what a mishigas is this? This is crazy. Soon enough, you built an ice rink in Metulla. Today, there's a practice ice rink. There's an Olympic-sized ice rink. I believe there's an ice rink in Maalot. Is that correct?
Yeah, in Maalot, in Tnuvot, you have today different. They build now in Ashdod. They're talking about to build another one around Haifa. It's growing up. And you tell about all the Mishuga people and the crazy ideas. I'm the result of these crazy ideas. I was born and play hockey, learned to play hockey in Metulla. I'm not a Canadian. I'm not from US. And I just like the sport. I grew up on this sport, and I think it's the best sport in the world. And no one can tell me something. No one will be able to tell me something else. And I think you need sometimes crazy people to make crazy process. And I don't know who was a crazy person or the crazy group of people that start everything, but I'm the result of that, and I'm thankful for them. And I think that hockey is one of the best sports in the world. It's not just a sport; it's everything that comes around the sport. It's bring community, and a community of people. I think it's one of the most strong things that you can have in your life. And it's not matter if you live in Tel Aviv or you live in Metulla. If you have a strong and big in community, you're one of the most happiest people on the earth. And just now we had two teams that came back from Canada, and they was visit over there, and they visit different communities, Jewish communities in Vancouver, in Edmonton, and Toronto. And we feel the warm and the powerful of the communities. And hockey create communities, and communities, this is what create towns, and it's create cities, and it creates a country, and it's create the Jewish, I think all the Jewish association in the end. And
Levav, I want to point out, by the way, I'm wearing my Toronto Maple Leaf shirt. I want to point that out to you.
I like you until now. I have to admit it.
Well, you're a Montreal Canadian fan, are you?
I don't want. I know it's going to be published, and I have some friends that like the Canadians, the Maple Leaf, but Leaf sucks. It's a known thing.
Before there's a lot to say there. We'll do a second interview on that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I want to give a little more context, a little more history here because it's fascinating. This whole idea of an ice rink in Metulla and other cities now. So it's way back in the 80s, and you get people on board. My friend Ellie Rubenstein, of March of the Living of United Israel Appeal. Mm-hmm. His boss is Jeff Budd, who was instrumental in setting up this podcast today. Mayor Goldberg, who has passed away, I believe, from Metulla, right? Passed away. Very, very big fighter for hockey in northern Israel and Israel itself. So I before we get into the whole league thing, because there's a big story here that just happened out of Bulgaria. What was it like for you, Levav, when you see the ice and you have to put on these boots, which basically have a knife on the bottom of it? You got to strap them up, throw on all this equipment, or you can barely move when you're a little guy. Do you have memories of that when you first started skating and playing hockey?
Oh, of course. When I started to play hockey I was age of 12, and it was only open the Canada Centers those days. It was in 91. And I remember there was a bunch of 15 sticks. If you come early to the practice, you was able to pick your side of the stick. If you come left, you need to take the right sticks that you don't have enough normally. So we was a team maybe of 15 people from 16 age level. And it was very tiny, very, very tiny. And year later that I start, we had a Canadian coach that came. He coached us hockey for 1 hour, and after that he coached us baseball for 1 hour. And we didn't have a dressing room. We was going dress on the stairs, and we have a tiny rink. And after a couple of years, 6 years later, they built our first Olympic ice rink. And after that, there was a lot of figure skate program and also a hockey program. And the sport of hockey grew up very big, and it's become to be 4 teams in Israel.
Yes.
And 2 years later, we will start to play in World Championship. And then came a lot of people that came from Russia and Ukraine, came to Israel, and they take the sport a few steps up. And a lot of players came, and then we had tons of teams, like almost 8 teams was all over Israel. And I was in all that process. I started playing hockey when it was only 2 teams or 3 teams that play hockey in Israel. And today I think we have close to 40 teams, all ages, different ages. And it's not the number of the teams. They have a lot of rings, not all of them Olympic sides, not all of them perfect one, not all of them have dressing rooms, not all of them are new, but we have a lot of rings that give more options for more players. And the hockey program in Israel, it just goes huge. Every year it changes. Every year it's more and more teams coming in, more and more players, and it just, it's fun to see that. It's for me, when a kid, age of 12, or kids that already play hockey for 2 years, age of 14, if you was come and tell me that when I will be 40, there will be 40 teams in Israel, I was laughing at you. I would tell you, wake up from your dream. And to be part of that process, it's something that it's a present. It's definitely a present that I have the option to be involved. I have the option to be a part of that. When I was a chairman, we do for the first one coaching clinic in Israel for the first time. It's in Canada and US. It's obvious. You probably have it have that every second day, but in Israel it was for the first time, and I really hope it will continue because it's important to development of sport. I was created 4 years ago for the first time the women national hockey team that went out and represent Israel for the first time ever. And this is something that, you know, when I was starting age of 12, we had 2 women in my team. And 2 of them was a Canadian. So if you was tell me those days that in 30 years from now we will have a women national team, I was laughing on you.
So the Israel Hockey Federation, just to remind our viewers and listeners, that Levav was the chairman, was the president of the association for 5 years. He retired last year from it, but is still involved, obviously, in Hockey Israel. We talked before about your 3 children. Thank God they're well. They're 4, 6, and 9 years old. You have 2 girls and a boy. I just want to relate to you just a quick moment in my life when my son, who plays select hockey here in Toronto, I remember the first time he got on the ice with a shirt, a jersey, a hockey jersey with his name on the back. His last name is Porter Rosensweig, so it's a long name. It came off the sides a little bit. But I remember Levav. Honestly, this is the truth. I had tears in my eyes. And when I told someone about it later, I thought, boy, I was more excited almost than his bar mitzvah, you know, because hockey to us here in Canada, it's in our DNA, it's in our blood. So you mentioned before that your children are on ice. How do they play hockey?
So my daughter, she played hockey for 1.5 years, and she's 6 years old. If the war wasn't started, so I believe that my youngest daughter was also start to learn how to skate this year. She's already 4 years old. This is the right time to start.
Yeah, like what are you waiting for, right?
Yeah, tell that to my wife. But my son, that actually right now he's in a hockey camp in Czech Republic, and he was play last year in a tournament in France when he was age of 7.5. And when I was there in France and we was play hockey event, so we was just 1 second, he just say hello. So I was in the same situation like you. I was talk with him, ask him about his game, and he was just go off the ice after the first game. And he's a goalie, and he had a very good game. No one scored him even 1 goal in his first game. He won the game, and I was in the same situation like you. I was so emotional and so happy about the situation. I was so happy to my son, and I was so happy that I give him the opportunity to take part in age of 7 in international tournament in France. And I don't want, my goal is that all my kids will play hockey, and most of the friends will play hockey. But for me, I don't see that as a goal for life. I think hockey, it's a good culture, it's a good sport. Everyone have to learn to play the game, to be a better person, to be a better friend. But I don't think that everybody need to do that for the living. Only the best one, of course. And I wish that my son will love the game like I do. I'm not expect for him to make his living from that. Not for now.
No, I understand that. And that's wise. That happens here too, Levav. You see your kids growing up in the sport, and they hit 13, 14. Then they realize, and the parent realize, kid's not going to the NHL. Most kids don't.
Yeah.
Some do, but most don't, right? So I understand what you're saying.
It's not my goal. Some parents will put a lot of money, a lot of effort. It's not just the money, but it's a lot of effort to send the kids to a special program and
Yeah.
special schools and special coaches, and it's great. It's really great thing, and it's developed the kids. But for me, hockey it's more a culture. It's not a goal in life. And
It's good.
when you talk about that as a culture, for me, the goal is not that my son will be the best goalie in the world. It's that my son has the best friends in his life from hockey.
Levav, in mid-January of this year, the Israeli Hockey Federation was let known that the team, the U20 teams, there's various different tiers of hockey in Israel, would not be invited to Bulgaria any longer to play in a tournament of which they had signed on to. In fact, that tournament was supposed to be played a bit in Israel. After October 7th, the Bulgarian authorities said, because of defense reasons, because of security reasons, we can't allow this to happen. Well, the Israelis, and kudos to them, were up in arms, and they said, you know what, let's work this through. There seemed to be no togetherness on trying to figure out how we can make sure that security is apropos. The NHL came out against it, and many, many different newspapers, organizations around the world said, you know what, this kind of smells like anti-Semitism a little bit. And it kind of smells like here's another situation where the Israelis are being punished after October 7th. So as the Israelis do, and I've always had so much pride in you and the Israelis, our country, who stand up for ourselves and say, you know what, I'm not going to back down. I'm not going to not go. We're going to figure this out. So what happened after that?
You know, it's I have a lot of what to say about that, but I would try to make it to be more focused. Look, the president of the IIHF, he came to visit Israel in the last Maccabi games in 2021. 21, yes. And he came for the first time ever that the president of IIHF came to visit and support Israel. The games was the Maccabi games. It was handled in Jerusalem. Was a crazy event. In the first game, it was sold out, like it's all packed, and it was feeling like in Canada. It was unbelievable atmosphere. It was kind of a dream to be in a rink in Jerusalem with 20 plus thousand people watching the game. It was a game Canada against US, and you have the president of the IIHF standing next to you and grabs a puck and give his bless. And you saw that Israel have a good friends all over the world. I don't know exactly what happened in the process that brought the IIHF to make the decision that Israel cannot take part of that. I think that politics and relationships, this is something that's very important to keep how to say that in the right way, to keep focus on that and to keep working on that. And I think that Israel Hockey Federation wasn't so much success about that, but Israel Hockey have a lot of friends all over the world, and when the small Israel Hockey Federation wasn't able to work and to keep the good relationship and good
good standing,
understanding, with the IIHF, we came. All the world, the rest of the world came and helped us. And I say, you know, a lot of people give me a call, and I'm not the chairman anymore. I'm not the president anymore, but they still give me a call and they ask to help, and I connect them to the right people, and very important people. The Canadian ambassador call us. A lot of people from the NHL, Larry Tenenbaum, and some other big names that everyone knows, send some people and try to figure what's the problem, how they can help. And again, we will talk about that before, about the 7th of October and the war, and about the very important position that the community have outside of Israel. So that the same kind of commitment to Israel we feel again when there was fix the bad relationship that the Federation had with the IIHF, and was able to help Israel to fix it on time and let Israel to take part of the games. I'm very happy that Israel was able to take part of the games. It's deserved to the kids, the under 20. It's a great age group. They're working very hard. I know almost all the players, like 90% of the players. I know them personally. I know them since they are very, very small age. Even before they play in any national team, I know them. Those it was under 16 national team. They're great kids, great gang, and they definitely was deserved to be in the games. And I think that we got what we was deserved, and the kids played great. They was just play great. They played together, and they was passing each other, and they was listening for the coach, and they do the right thing to do, and it's definitely was deserved them to get the gold medal. And
so I want to talk about that, because on a good podcast there's a build-up, right?
Yeah.
It becomes epic. Like, here's what happened. Everybody's thinking the Israelis went to Bulgaria. Maybe it didn't go so well. Well, that's wrong. It went great. Listen what happened. In the final game, the Israelis beat Mexico 6-3. 2 goals came from Guy Aronovich. You know Guy?
Of course, I know Guy, and I know his dad. We are very good friends.
You know his dad as well, right? Maybe even his Zadie. Just 20 seconds apart. Just 26 seconds apart in the third period. The Israelis, in order to get to that final game, they beat the host Bulgaria.
Mm-hmm.
They beat New Zealand. They beat Kyrgyzstan. And they beat Turkey.
The most sweet win.
It's sweet. Oh, against Turkey. I have to agree with you on that. I said good. I'm happy to hear that. Anyways, they walked away with the gold medal, and the reward is the win, the victory, the pride that one has in themselves and in their country.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you're pushed up a tier for the next tournament, right? Yes. How does that work?
So you go up to the next division. So Israel go down, I think it was 5 years ago when we go down to that division that we was play. And last year we was very close, but not close enough. We need a little bit more luck last year, but this year we didn't count on the luck. It went very smooth and very good. We are very, very proud in the players.
Outstanding. We should add, by the way, that throughout the Israel Hockey Federation history, since its inception, that there have been NHL players who have been part of its growth, including Darryl Sittler from my very favorite Toronto Maple Leafs, as well as your favorite. No. Roger Nielson, the former Roger Nielson.
Roger Nielson coached me when I was kid. He was come to.
What was he like? What was he like?
You know, I think he was one of the people that Roger Nielson was here first in 96, 97, 98. And our friend Jeff, he was the one that set up to bring Roger to Israel, and he was come over here every summer with some NHL players, and they was do a clinic together for a week or 2 weeks. And I think Roger Nielson was type of person that he didn't talk with us just about how is to be a good hockey player. He was talking with us how to be a good person and how to be a good man. And after being a good man, you become to be a good hockey player. And you don't see many coaches that talk like that today. And for me, Roger Nielson, he was coaching in the NHL and he came and coached me. He didn't do a good job. I still wasn't that's good in hockey.
Right.
But in his 1 week, he wasn't able to change the whole system for me and make me a very good hockey player. But he definitely gave us his spirit and his vision. And I think that his spirit and vision, that was something that walked with me when I was building the program in Metulla, and I was volunteer over there, and I was talk with people and talk with a lot of good friends. And I was told when I was growing and build that, I was always have Roger Nielson words in my head that say, you don't have to be the best player, you need to be the best person. And after that, you become to be the best player or the best team. And, this is something that go with you to the rest of your life.
Darryl Sittler,
Yes.
he's an icon. He's achi in our Canadian hockey history, American hockey history, I should say. And I saw a video before our interview today when he was in Israel, and they showed him going to the kotel with his hands on the kotel. And I thought, how interesting is this? Darryl Sittler, true blue Canadian, hockey player in the NHL. He closed his eyes and it looked like he was praying. Do you have memories of Darryl?
Yes. Yes, I was this small kid when he was here, like a teenager, not a small kid. But Darryl, when Darryl was here, I think I saw him only twice because already in that age I went to the army. So I was walk with him. Actually, he was walk with us in Metulla, and I think it was for twice. For 2 times he came, and every time he came and coach us, and it was like in God that came to you. It was for me. It was like Gretzky to bring Gretzky to Israel. It's more or less was the same for us here in Metulla. It's something that it's hard to forget.
Yes.
And you're very quiet. You're afraid to talk to him. You're afraid to touch him. You're afraid to not to do what he tell you to do. You're so much afraid that you fell on the ice sometimes. But this is it's definitely this is things that sometimes famous people and the big people not always put enough thinking about that. But for some kids and special kids that not already in the right direction, already in the route, to meet people like those and to meet coaches like those, it's give you a lot of experience. Not experience,
like memories, right?
Memories and things that go with you
to
with you to the rest of your career.
Levav, I want to wrap up the interview, but before I do that, there's just a few random questions I like to ask my guests, just so people should get to know you even a little bit better. You've been a wonderful guest, by the way. I've been fascinated.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I've been fascinated by everything you said. Just a few things. According to your bio and your statistics as a hockey player, you're 187 pounds, 6 feet. Are you still that?
I think a little bit more.
Yeah, you mean you're taller? Me too. Do you like apples?
Yes.
You do like apples. So when you pick them, do you ever eat them?
Most of the time I eat them.
You do.
I try to stand the tractor and not to pick so much.
And your kids like apples.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
I'm curious, and there's really no judgment here, but we haven't talked at all about Jewishness in terms of Judaism. Does Judaism play a role at all in who you are and what you do?
Yes. Not always in front of my eyes, but it's definitely there. It's always there. It's something that you cannot ignore. But I am type of person that don't let the religious to follow to make my way. I like to make my own way and to take the religious with me.
Do you believe in miracles?
Yes, of course.
Have you seen miracles?
Oh yes.
Can you tell us?
To me to play hockey, it's a miracle.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
But I believe in miracle, and I think miracle can happen only for people that believe in them.
That's what the Maimonides says as well. Very good. Very good. Or maybe I should correct that. Yeah, Maimonides says if you believe in ghosts, then they exist. Sorry about that. I don't want to be misquoted. But Levav, I want to wrap things up here, and I want to tell you that it was a real honor to speak with you. It really was. I love what you've done with your life. I love what you've done for Israel and the Jewish people, what you're now doing for so many kids and for your own kids. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it a lot.
Thank you for to invite me, and thank you for your invitation. It was lovely. And Am Yisrael Chai.
Nachon, Am Yisrael Chai, the nation of Israel lives. So with that, my friends, I want to thank all of you for being part of this, for being here. You've been listening to the Avrum Rosensweig Show, and we will have another podcast this Sunday, a very exciting one, with a fellow named Ashkenazi. He is known for building up West Hollywood. He is known for building up the Jewish community of Poland, and he is a Holocaust survivor and wrote a book about it. Fascinating individual. Join us then. Once again, my guest today was Levav Weinberg, who is an international star in the area of hockey, and he is a warrior, and he's a soldier for Israel and the Jewish people. We thank him once again. Until then, we appreciate you being with us. Have a beautiful day and a beautiful week. Am Yisrael Chai.